Hello, my name is Keith Parker, and I would like to share my experiences with the summer community internship as a part of NELA Cohort 4. I completed my internship really in two places. I worked with the Tarboro-Edgecombe Chamber of Commerce and also with a nonprofit organization that I founded 3 years ago called the Southwest Leadership Academy, and I'll be speaking about both of those during this presentation. The photograph here on the main screen is a photograph of this year's Leadership Academy cohort group of 31 students, and this picture was taken at our annual summer camp, which is housed on the campus of NC State University. So my experience was divided between the Chamber of Commerce and the Leadership Academy, and I'll be speaking about both of those. But really, in terms of both of these, my goal was to increase partnerships between local businesses and the school system. One of the things that I think has traditionally happened in our county is our schools have, with good intentions, asked business partners for donations and philanthropy, and those businesses have given those. But I think when it comes down to it, businesses also want to see what the school system can do for them. And one of my goals has been to connect our students back to the community through volunteerism and community service. Also, a goal of mine in this community service project was to connect kids to service and also to promote leadership development. And I think ultimately, if we can work to continue to teach our kids leadership skills and make them competitive, then that is one of the biggest gifts that we can give to the business community in our area. And so I think in the end of this summer experience, I was able to make some great relationships and some partnerships. So those are some initial goals I had going into the experience. So firstly, I'll talk about my experiences at the Edgecombe Chamber of Commerce. And so the Chamber of Commerce went through a transition this year, and the director of the building, which had been there for a long time, a lady named Bobby Martin, left and went to a different job, and so they were experiencing a bit of a transition and some changes as an interim director came in. And so one of the things that I primarily worked on was connecting the chamber to new businesses and then connecting those businesses to the school system through partnerships and networking. And I also had the privilege of working to help enhance and kind of create and set up a website for the chamber, kind of update some technology services that they had going on. So I think overall this was a great experience, and I think what it did for me was it opened my eyes to the importance of economic development in communities and how really as much of a struggle it is for local businesses to be able to compete and be competitive in sort of a global economy that we have. And so the Chamber of Commerce plays a critical role in being able to promote businesses and attract people to come to Edgecombe County. I had the privilege of working with the interim director, Sue Freeman, and she really was just a great asset and so supportive and really has just a passion for kind of taking our Chamber of Commerce to the next level. So I think in the end of this, I was able to make some connections and business partnerships, and hopefully this experience has been one where business communities will feel more of a connection to our school system, but also it'll be one where our school system will realize that it's important to give back to businesses and to make strong connections. In addition to working with the chamber, I also had the opportunity to work with some local churches who have partnered with my leadership organization and to be able to plan the summer program that we do. So really, just to give you a little background here, 3 years ago at my high school, me and a couple of my friends on the staff realized that we were not doing a good enough job of preparing students to be competitive in our world. And so this is entirely my opinion, even though it's based in research, but it is my belief that what you teach students in the 21st century is probably not as important as how you teach them to use that information. And they can't use information unless they know how to do a couple of things. One, they have to be able to get along with people, particularly people that are different than them. And secondly, they have to believe that they can make a difference in this world. They have to be empowered. And so the goal of my organization, the Southwest Leadership Academy, is to first of all empower students to believe that on any level they can make a difference, a positive difference and change in the world we live in. Secondly, it's to give them the skills they'll need to be able to go out and to make change. And I think one of the critical things they'll need to be able to do is to be able to build partnerships with people and build coalitions. And they can't do that if they don't know how to get along with people. And so what we do is we train students in Stephen Covey's 7 Habits. We train them in crucial conversations trainings. We take them through team building exercises. And we really try to instill a passion and a desire in them that they have a responsibility to positively impact our community. And they can do that by having a heart of a servant. And we believe that the greatest way to become a leader is to develop a heart of service leadership. And putting others before yourself, this belief that the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, is, I think, what will distinguish successful people in the 21st century. And so we take kids to NC State for the summer. We stay in dorms. We have sessions in college classrooms. We meet with college professors. We bring people in. We do team building exercises. And we really walk away from the camp feeling energized and empowered that we can come back to Edgecombe County and we can make a difference. And that really is a powerful thing. This year we had Jenny O'Meara came and spoke to us, and you see in this video up here in the top corner of some kids that filmed a thank you video for Miss O'Meara. She was able to share some of her experiences in the Peace Corps and spending time in Burkina Faso. And I'll be glad to show you some of those photos here in a second. So you can see that these are great kids. They really are just so amazing, and each year I walk away from this camp just being humbled by the overwhelming potential that this generation has to do good in this world. What we do, and I was very particular about this when we found the organization, was not to only recruit the top 30 kids in the class by GPA rank. And so what we do is, of course, we have some honors and AP kids in the group, but specifically I have targeted kids that have leadership capacity but maybe haven't had the best grades, maybe are not the traditional student. And so we have kids in this group that have failed a course, that are not A students. We have students in here that are D and C students. We've had students that have had disciplinary records. And so it's my belief that every child can become a leader, and certainly I don't want mistakes in a child's past to prevent them from being a part of what we're doing. So we do try to be inclusive. Here's a photograph of Jenny O'Meara, who's also in cohort 4, who came and spoke to the kids. And really, I think her presentation was the best example you can have of a servant leader, where she spent 2 years of her life in Burkina Faso in West Africa and through the Peace Corps. And I think the students walked away really just humbled by her presentation, and the stories she shared and the experiences she had really were just humbling. And I think on another level, I think the students were inspired to do something like this, to go out and to be engaged in service. And I think Jenny was really able to emphasize this idea that being a servant leader ultimately is self-rewarding, because it creates in you this positive outlook on the world and a desire that you really can change the world. And that in itself is a kind of fulfillment that I don't think you can get in other ways. And so servant leaders don't serve others for selfish reasons, but I think in the end there is a self benefit to doing that, because a kind of peace and reward you can't get any other way. So when I think about this summer, I think about the tremendous work that we have to do to be able to create inclusive communities in rural areas in our country, particularly our rural areas in eastern North Carolina. And I think about what it's going to take to be able to create communities of shared prosperity, shared responsibility, and shared opportunity. And we certainly have a long way to go. I think about some of my favorite authors, and I think about as a way to express kind of what this internship meant to me. I'll share with you a couple of quotes here that I think really emphasize what this did for me. But I think of W.H. Auden, the famous poet, who wrote, "In the deserts of the heart, let the healing fountain start. In the prison of his days, teach the free man how to praise." And as I walk away from this summer experience, I'm left with the realization that people of good faith and of good will and good heart have a responsibility to act on behalf of our communities. The burden of knowledge is responsibility, and if we don't act aggressively to combat the forces of poverty and racism and division, then really who is going to stand up for our communities? We have to do this. And we have to do it on behalf of the children, the families, the parents, and the people that are in these communities that deserve much better than what they're getting now. I also think of Robert Frost, who penned down the kind of person I want to be, when he said, "Some men see things as they are and say why. I dream things that never were and say why not." And I think those two quotes sum up really what this internship did for me. And so it's been a tremendous opportunity, and I look forward to continuing to serve and have a heart of service leadership here in Eastern North Carolina. Thank you.